What's going on, everybody? It's the Fantasy First Rounders. It's Chris, Ryan, Billy. Whoa, we're always live, and I'm always making a little mistake here and there, but here we go. Here's our countdown clip, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And we always have to do our shout out to our boy Miles, man, the graphics speciality guy for the Rumboyz. He came up with this for us, man. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to FF Dot. Welcome in, everybody. I see we've got 11 people watching us so far. Liz, Marco, Scott, thank you for tuning in. This is our 40th well, technically, guys, it's our 39th episode on repeat. Would have been our 40th episode in a row. Well, not in a row, but consecutively with all four of us on here. Tom obviously could not make it tonight. Prayers with Tom, man. We love our boy Tom fresh out the dryer. Guys, how are y'all doing tonight? I'm super excited. Ryan, Billy, how are y'all doing tonight?
Doing well, man. What's up, Ryan?
Doing good. Ready to talk some running backs.
Dude, running back theorem part 4. We're going to close it out tonight. Real quick, while I'm, shuffling around here, sending out everything, guys. Obviously, the talk of the town has been old boy hybrid Kyle Pitts, the 4.40, and then Jamar Chase, hashtag wide receiver 1, as Ryan would like to say, with the quick hand on the 4.3840. Who else did y'all see today, or are those the only guys that y'all really looked at? Because I was looking at old boy Kyle Trask a little bit.
So for me, I have not gotten to watch that much of today. I had a pretty busy day at work. I was planning on after the show catching up on some of this stuff, and likely more it'll be tomorrow. I had a day today, and I wasn't able to get that much watching. I mean, I was getting updates on my phone throughout the day, but I didn't get to see anything.
Yeah, same situation as Ryan. Throughout the workday, of course, seeing the headlines come across with Kyle Pitts. Really interested to get to see the aftermath of all that and watch Trask throw as well. But I saw what I needed to see out of Pitts, watching the guy play, some of the acrobatic catches and stuff like that. The 40 times just kind of icing on the cake and makes for good conversation until draft day.
No doubt. Cully, I'm just kind of stunned right now with Kyle Pitts. I mean, we're not going to talk about him too much because we've been talking about him all day, and we'll talk about him later on, right? And then we'll get to rookies and things like that. Real quick, Ryan, at the beginning of the show, we got some listeners in right now. I'm going to go ahead and share this through Facebook for everyone who's watching on Facebook. Go ahead and like, share, smash the comments. We're always in our comments, guys, so we're always going to talk to you and bring you up in the show. But Ryan, what were we talking about before the show, and what we're going to get on right as soon as the draft ends, man? We got to get people in this.
Yes, with the St. Jude Bowl. We're going to be, again, partnering with St. Jude, raising a lot of money for them. Money goes to the winners as well. It's going to be a huge tournament. Once again, I know quite a few of y'all have done it already. You did the first year. We're going to be bringing it back the second year, bigger than last year. We're also expanding into every format. Best ball, auction, vampire, guillotine. We're going to be doing all of that. Marco, what's up, man? We're going to do every format, and we're all going to be partnering with St. Jude. We'll also have eliminators, pick'ems. If it's out there, we're going to be doing it. So we're getting bigger. We're bringing more money for St. Jude, and we're basically filling every need that any fantasy player could want. We're going to do every format.
Absolutely love it. Yeah. Supporting a good cause and then also having a little bit of fun too. Guys, I know we do a lot of things a little bit different than most, but that's why people like us. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this right now and we're just going to jump in. We're going to talk about Tom, our late, great Tom, who's not with us tonight, his Philadelphia Eagles. And also, you know, I turned the song on this morning, you know, I get hyped every Wednesday before our streams, and I have to listen to this song, you know, Trace McSorley's song, you know, throw it on a dime, you know, obviously Tom could sing a little bit better than I can, but Miles Sanders from the Nittany Lions, Penn State, the 53rd pick in his draft from Penn State, right? Miles Sanders, that's why Tom likes him so much, and he doesn't ever say it. And I realized today, he's like, he really likes the guy because of Penn State, because of what he did there, but he never says it. He's not like me. And so, like, it irked me a little bit because I'm like, dang, Tom, you got me. You were like a secret agent implanting that in my head. And I'm looking at the guy's stats. His rookie year, he had 54% of the snap share. Last year, he had 71% of the snap share. So huge increase. He also, the opportunities he got were a lot better last year, even though when I'm looking at it, I'm going to go to his receptions right now. His rookie year, he had 3.3 yards per target. Last year, 1.9. That's horrible. He's getting thrown it in the backfield. Like, the ball's getting to him in the backfield. He had a 22.2% drop rate last year, which is horrible. And I'm looking at it, and I'm wondering, is this Miles Sanders' floor? Is this dude really what Tom is telling me? This dude can be a running back one. And I'm believing it because I'm looking at everything. You look at his juke rate, 38%. His breakaway run rate, 3.7%. That's huge when you're breaking away from these linebackers who Micah Parsons fast, you know? And his yards per carry have increased from 4.5 from his rookie year to 5.3. The dude is increasing in every single one of his categories, yet I'm still drafting him like a running back 3, and I should not. He's also had 2 top 24 seasons, running back 13 in his rookie year, running back 22 last year, which, golly, if I'm not wrong about this, that's his floor, I think. Jalen Hurts is only going to get better. The weapons are going to get better. Guys, is Tom not even on the stream tonight, and he's blowing my mind right now? Ryan, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm a big Miles Sanders believer. I think that the Philly situation was just garbage. That's why we saw him at his floor rather than the ceiling itself, which this guy has special kind of ability. I looked at him a lot of ways coming out after Saquon thinking, wow, did they have another one of these guys? He's not quite Saquon in my opinion, but man, he's like a similar looking guy to Saquon. He has a similar skill set and ability. Like, he doesn't really have weaknesses in his game per se. So, yeah, I like Miles Sanders. I like where he's coming. I got him in the second round, or no, the third. I think I got him in the third round in that draft. Gotta love that. Yes, because I took Allen in the second round. I got Miles Sanders in the third round of that draft that I'm doing right now. I'm ecstatic about that. The other guy I want to mention really quick is Boston Scott. That's an efficient little guy, man. His yards per touch increased last year, but his touchdowns cratered. That's to be expected. He had 5 on 61 rushes. That's a little bit unreasonable. But he actually had 4.7 yards per carry, and then he had 25 catches. Like, this guy is going to be a guy that I'm going to look at as far as flex depth options. Also, if Sanders goes down and he hasn't played a full season yet, Boston Scott's going to be a guy I want to get in on those weeks.
What do you think, Billy?
Yeah, Miles Sanders is a guy that I've been high on. Let down a little bit last year, but, I mean, really he was, like you said, RB14, 22 or 4 in year 2. Had similar rushing stats, but his touchdown regression from 6 to 3 rushing touchdowns. His receiving numbers, he had 50 receptions as a rookie, just 28 last year and 20, despite 9 fewer targets. No receiving touchdowns in 2020. He did post 3 receiving touchdowns in 19. But he only played 12 games last year and was hobbled in some of that time on the field. And if you break down his fantasy points per game, right on target, actually a little bit of progression from year 1 to year 2, even in a time when you thought maybe he wasn't playing as well as you expect. Excuse me. So really excited about Miles Sanders. And with Jalen Hurts, he played just fine with him down the stretch too. even had one of his better games, down the stretch with him under center. So no reason to think that that's a bad situation for Miles Sanders. I think it's actually a positive for him with Jalen Hurts and Philly, which Tom will probably disagree about that. But Miles Sanders, the guy, definitely has top 10 RB1 potential.
I'm thinking about this right now, and I'm thinking that Tom might have fleeced us. He knew we were going to talk good about Jalen Hurts, and he was like, you know what? I'm not going to be here for this Carson Wentz slander. Tom, I got you. I feel like I know that's what you did. Billy, you were 100% correct, man. I'm looking at his points per game for not Jalen Hurts. I'm talking about Miles Sanders, and he increased from when he was running back 13. He increased his points per game, but if he would have finished out the season, he probably would have been in the top 12. So, our guy Joshua, man, wow. Joe Flacco brings in his elite arm. We'll talk about Joe Flacco in a little bit, right? Ethan and Mike, what's good, man? Obviously, we love y'all in the chat. Triple M, man. Oh, we appreciate you, Rumboyz for life, man. We love the pirate flag. We're repping them until we die. Y'all have anything else on the Philadelphia Eagles besides this? I mean, there was a guy, right? Mike Clay talked to us last year, and we'll get him back on at the end of the season. But Michael Warren, he's no longer with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's actually on the Washington football team that we'll talk about later. We'll talk about Michael Warren here in a little bit because, got to give a shout out to Mike Clay, our guy. But, Ryan, let's move on forward to a team that's got a little bit of controversy between not only us, but with other people, right? I liked a guy from the Terrapins. We had a guest on our show, old Troy King, that said he wasn't anything. I'm more inclined to believe him now. Signing the guy that I was hot on, the Barrage in the Steel City. There's a couple running backs that we can talk about on this team. What do you think, man?
I don't really want to talk about any of them. I'm thinking that Pittsburgh is going to get somebody in the draft because I'm not sold on any one of these guys as the guy. And if they don't, I'm going to lean Mcfarlane, just like you said, that Terrapin connection. I think that he's the guy that's young. He's cheap right now he's on his rookie pay scale. I like Balaj, but I'm not sure he can be the guy for a team. I like him better as a change of pace. And Snell actually had a few bursts that I thought was all right as well. But, man, I'm staying away from this Pittsburgh backfield as currently constructed at the prices that they're going to be. Like, I'd love to get Mcfarlane late, but it's likely that somebody else sees something similar and takes him a little earlier than I'm going to be happy taking him.
That's fair. Yeah, Billy, I know you've been pretty vocal in the past about this, and I am super excited to see if this comes to fruition.
Yeah, so just to talk about the guys on the roster now, Benny Snell, not a guy I'm that excited about. I've used him in a few handcuff situations. He's just another one of those guys to me that you can pick up on a given week and maybe plug into a flex and get some production if you're thin or, a flex spot that you're trying to cover on bye week, something like that for me. Anthony Mcfarlane, I do have some dynasty interest just with the Matt Canada connection you guys mentioned before, going back to his days at Maryland. But I expect Pittsburgh to aggressively pursue the running back position in the draft. I think Mike Tomlin feels like he can do something with Haskins, maybe on a Band-Aid situation, or maybe just get his head on straight, and maybe he kind of, shows some of the talent that we saw him display at Ohio State. We'll see, but they brought him in for a reason, and, they're obviously going to be doing Ben Roethlisberger's farewell tour in 2021, so the quarterback position will be very interesting for Pittsburgh. However, if Najee Harris lands to them in the draft, I don't think there's any way in hell Pittsburgh passes on him for obvious reasons. He's a great player, but also just the fit, the Pittsburgh, the running back lore. It would be just, as you always say, Chris, Narrative Street. What a beautiful one. And Pittsburgh, the Steelers, they've never sucked for very long. So I do expect them to, by the time this all shakes out, be just fine. And Najee Harris might be the centerpiece and the linchpin of that happening and turning around so quickly.
Real big shout out to FF Miles down there, man. Miles, you missed the opening intro, man. We gave you the big shout out, and obviously our backgrounds, our graphics, all done by this guy. If y'all don't know who he is, go look at his Twitter at FF_Peacock. The dude is an artist, like straight up artist. Yeah, get your running back knowledge, Miles. We're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Oh, wait. guys, I'm falling behind. You gotta keep me up with this. You gotta get the little tag down here so we know who we're talking about. The Pittsburgh Steelers, guys. Wow. They, James Conner, huge narrative on him. Obviously, he at this point, he's probably not going to be a Steeler next season because I'm with you, Billy. The Steelers are going to get that tough, hard-nosed guy, and I'm hoping it's Najee, right? And in the back of my mind, every time I say Najee, it's Ja Rule in the back of my head from Too Fast, Too Furious. Najee / Bogard, right? And they signed Kalen Ballage, who last year was serviceable in that Anthony Lynn offense with Herbert, who obviously is phenomenal. The offensive line is phenomenal, but guys, let's not forget that Kalen Ballage holds a record in the NFL for running backs who have at least 100 carries. He has the lowest yards per carry, 1.8 yard per carry, at least 100 carries. Like, come on, I get it. He's got the build. He's like 6'2", 225. But you had Connor, who had the narrative, who's 6'1", 230, and yoked at the moment, right? You look at what they've got going on in their backfield with Ben there, kind of, on his last leg. And what Connor last year had 63% of the snap share. And besides the 81%, he's been the dude. You look at everybody else and they're all in 11, 12, 13, 15%. And then here comes Kalen Ballage, who has never had more than 40% of the workload. I'm going to take a pass on this backfield unless they get Najee or Javonte would be really Chuba, he's from that area, the cold area at least. I really have not too much else on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ryan, do you have a rebuttal or anything like that? Yeah, I'm good to move on forward. Billy, take us on, Billy, to this is a really interesting team.
Yes.
Because of their movement in the draft, what they're going to get, who they're going to get, Kyle Shanahan's mindset on the running back situation at least, because when you look at their running backs, even with Matt Breida, undrafted free agents, they don't want to draft a running back. Kyle Shanahan knows talent when he sees it. And we saw it with the Dream last year. One of our guys, Marco, super high on Raheem, the Dream Mostert, right? And panned out he panned out when he played. Yes. Obviously, injuries set him back. But Billy, take over this backfield, and what can I expect from this? We've got a guy, Kevin, who's part of the Rumboyz, who just wrote an article about Jeff Wilson Jr., so we'll talk about him too. I'm sure he's about to pop up in the chat, but what do you got on this backfield?
So here's the thing with me. I'm not a Raheem Mostert guy, but I made a pact with our boy Marco in the chat that I can't come. I gotta leave him alone. So I made that promise with him like mid-season. After I told you to sit Raheem Mostert, he had 175-yard touchdown, nothing the rest of the day, and I made that pact with Marco that I would leave Raheem Mostert alone. So he's not a guy for me. I won't have any shares. However, what gets really interesting, you mentioned Jeff Wilson Jr. in this backfield, 4.8 yards per carry last year. He had about 125-ish carries, if I remember correctly. But 4.8 yards per carry would be tied for 10th best yards per carry in the league last year. 733 total yards, 10 touchdowns in 12 games. So Jeff Wilson Jr., not an athlete that really gets your attention. However, their production does have my attention, and ridiculously similar stats to Raheem Mostert's 2019 season that had him being the apple of the San Francisco backfield's eye. So I kind of like him in this backfield going into next year, kind of just because of that similarities. We've seen Shanahan make a lot of running backs very productive guys. The similarities in the stats is very moving to me. So I'm on Jeff Wilson Jr. next year. However, I don't expect San Francisco to get out of this draft without nabbing one of these running backs that are in this talent pool.
I'll let you close it off, Ryan, because I'm gonna thank Troy, Miles, Marco, everyone for tuning in and getting in the chat. Obviously, man, we really, really appreciate it. For everyone who's watching that doesn't get in the chat, get in there, man. We're gonna talk to you for sure. My boy over here, Jaws Whedon over here talking about JaMychal Hasty out of Baylor. I love it, right? I think he's good too. I own it. I have him on a bunch of my dynasty teams. I have a lot of shares of this guy. I think he has potential in this Kyle Shanahan offense because of the way Shanahan uses running backs. It's the next man up, right? And he don't care what your pedigree is unless you can do what he asks you to do. JaMychal Hasty can block. JaMychal Hasty. Oh, hold on. We're on Sportscaster, guys. Got to drop the shout out real quick. And he had 20% of the snap share last year, 35.5% of the opportunity weight. Super, super crazy, right? For I don't need to say that because Kyle Shanahan loves undrafted free agents. But when you look at their dominating evaded tackles and juke rating, JaMychal Hasty, 17.4% versus, let's say, a Jeff Wilson, 12.9, say, a Raheem Mostert last season, 11.7. The dude's elusive. The dude's good. And you give him the opportunity, he's going to flourish. That being said, I got to go with my guy, the Dream, on this, man. I'm with Marco Ayala. I love Raheem, the Dream Mostert, just because, one, he's a surfer. He wears the puka shell necklace. Like, you got to like this kid, right? And he's fast. You give him the ball on a toss, and you got the one block, and he's gone. He's to the races. In pads, he's running like a 4.38. He's running Jamar Chase out there in pads, and if he's healthy, you got to like it. Targets, everything like that, depending on the quarterback, what will Shanahan do in the draft? I'm still thinking that Jimmy G is going to be there for at least 7 games. So you got that for him. And other than that, the running backs for Shanahan have never been really top 12. Serviceable as running back 2s. And in zero running back format, I'd love all of them. What do you think, Brian?
Well, I do like Mostert because of that speed. You can't teach that speed. And how many times do we see, man, he explodes. Also, yes, Clinton Portis, loved it. Awesome reference, Miles. But for me, I think that Wilson's interesting late in the draft. But I would rather have Mostert because if he's healthy, he's going to be their guy. That production from last year is hard to ignore. He wasn't even considered the starting running back for most of that stuff, and he still tore it up. His health was the problem this year. So if he can stay healthy, I think you're looking at a nice RB2 here. Otherwise, if he's not healthy, then I think Wilson just slots in as the guy that's going to be the nice RB2 there. Hasty, I don't see him getting more work than those two guys. I think they're just, at the moment, I don't know if they know the offense better or what it is, but they seem to be getting way more of the love. You would think, like that somebody was saying in the chat, you would have thought that they would have given Hasty more run at the end of the season, but they didn't. Not really. And that leads me to believe that if they were prepping to use him more this year, they would have done so last year at the end of the year, kind of gotten some run and gotten some film, see what they had with them. And I think they're being patient maybe. But for me, give me a little bit of Mostert. It wouldn't shock me if I saw them take a running back in the mid rounds. Somebody like a Gainwell type of a player. They do seem to like those
Carter.
Yep. Some of them fast running backs. I could see them going there. There'll be a lot of value late in the draft. And then if Mostert goes down, I think I'll avoid Wilson a little bit more because I do think they're going to draft a running back. And I think it's going to push Wilson down to RB3.
That's fair. I mean, I don't disagree with that at all because we don't know what Shanahan's going to do. And obviously, he can just pull some guy off the street that he just sees running. And he's like, this guy's got it. He's going to fit my offense, and he's just going to break off an 80-yard touchdown, week 3. And that's probably what's going to happen. Billy, I think it's your turn, right?
Yeah, we can rock.
Rock it, bro. Sometimes you lean with it. Sometimes you rock with it, right?
Hey, man.
I thought your Seattle Seahawks, man. I think, maybe it's Ryan's Seattle Seahawks that he just absolutely loves. So I'm going to dog him a little bit.
So, all right. So in Seattle's backfield, we talked about Rashad Penny a little bit. I like the guy. It's more like the Christine Michael narrative where the measurables just have you interested in the guy potentially, but obviously really hasn't gotten a very good run, battled injuries kind of since his career started. And this guy named Chris Carson has played pretty good football for Seattle in the meantime, kind of coming out of nowhere. So he just inked a three-year, $24 million deal, re-signing with Seattle. He's Seattle's running back 1. Last year he was running back 19, and he missed 4 games. He has 3 straight top 20 seasons at the running back position fantasy-wise. He's still only 26. He's typically one of those running backs on the board with some real value later in the draft before you start taking those guys that you're kind of taking flyers on, or just the guy that you like better than the next guy. He's kind of, for his potential where he lands in that RB2 range, he seems to be there a little bit later on the board, and really some value there a lot of times in drafts from what I can see. So I'm glad he re-signed with the Seahawks. I wouldn't know what his career would turn into with another opportunity. And he did average just over 15.5 fantasy points per game. So a pretty consistent guy at the running back position. A guy I should probably be a little higher on than I am, but I just don't end up with him much.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you about the Chris Carson thing. We did a SportsMe live draft, which, man, it only lasted 1 round, but we have to do something more, Robbie, Miles, like Ryan, Billy, get on SportsMe. We did a 1-round mock of just, who you want. And Chris Carson was actually taken 1.12. And there were some good points about it. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, Ryan, I'm not a Chris Carson fan at all. You know how much pushback I gave you last year on this cat. But now I'm kind of coming around to it because I'm looking at everything. Obviously, I love Pete Carroll. I love the mindset. I love the offense. It's a run-first offense. We'll do it. Yeah, Robbie will definitely do it again for sure. But Chris Carson, man, with this offensive line that's going to be revamped, Russell Wilson got the little – everyone's been talking about him. He's – I think he's about to get a real big chip on his shoulder that he had when he first entered the league. And he had a little dip, obviously, but I think he's about to get it back. And Chris Carson, man, every single year, he's increased his points per game average. 9.9, 14.1, 15.5, till 16.1 last season. The 12th ranked running back in points per game last season. He had his first top 12 season last year. And he only had 885 scrimmage yards last year, but he had 9 touchdowns, points, catching everything that Russ threw at him. Oh, what do I need to look at? This is what I want to look at right here, guys. Wow, here we go. I'm looking at his juke. You know how much I love the juke rating, right? An 18.2 juke rating and 30. 30. That's a lot of evaded tackles. A 4.9 yards per carry. Scott Davis loves him some Chris Carson as well. This is why I was hoping to get this done before Scott joined on. Him and Ryan will be buddy about Chris Carson, how much I don't like this kid. But Chris Carson is definitely serviceable and looking like a running back 1 this year. They just paid Tyler Lockett today. DK Metcalf. You got Russ, who is a little bit perturbed, who, what's going to happen? They got J.J. Watt in the division now, Aaron Donald. What are they going to do in the draft? And here's Chris Carson, who will be 1,000-yard running back, where you could probably get him in most drafts, in the 3rd round? Possibly? How crazy is that? A 1,000-yard running back in the 3rd round, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, he continues to impress.
Scott, I am a hater. I'm sorry. I am a hater.
He is. He had his best yards per carry average of his career last year. He missed some games, but he got much more involved in the passing game on a per-game basis especially. I mean, he had 37 catches last year, but he had 37 this year in just 12 games. He also did more with those catches than he did last year. Doubled his touchdowns and had a few more yards as well. I think 112 is crazy. Whoever did that, you should join all of my drafts because I want to draft against you. But
he had a really good case, though. He had a really good case for Carson as a running back 1, and that's the only reason why I'm like, wow, the dude is.
Well,
It's like when I talk about Zeke.
Yeah, I get that, but here's my problem. There's a guy on his team that averages a higher yards per carry average and has looked to be at least as good as him in the limited amount of time we've seen. We've really been wrecked by not having seen much of Penny yet, but I am still loving where I'm getting Rashad Penny in drafts right now because nobody's taking him. I mean, he may go undrafted in a couple of depending on your format, depending on how deep your league is, he'll be undrafted in a lot of these things. And I love scooping him up and just stashing him on my bench because when he has been on the field, he has been good. He has a 5.1 career. Last year, he had 5.7. Again, he had 11 carries last year. That's way too small of a sample size for his little 3.1 yards per attempt. He just wasn't healthy. He didn't even have a target in the passing game. I think with Carson and his style of play, and now he's starting to really continue. Like I was talking about his durability because the dude only missed 3 games.
What was his nonsense?
I wouldn't say that.
You agree with that real quick?
No, I ain't going to agree with that.
Good.
But realistically, as the way Carson plays is similar to the way Zeke plays with that real physical and can juke you. I think
you.
Why? Because they're both big power backs with excellent juke ratings. Oh, wait, I bet Zeke doesn't have as good of a juke rating as Carson does.
Let me look it up and take your time.
I would bet not. Well, but I'm saying that they have similar styles. They're both bigger and they're strong. They're fast. Like they can do it all. They can power you. They can juke you. But again, I know what the potential for Penny is, and that's what's pushing me a little bit more off Carson this year than it has in the past.
Can we talk about Travis Homer for a second, too? Scott makes a good point about Travis Homer. I mean, I'm still looking up Zeke, so I'm trying to find
I don't think so. Go ahead, Billy.
I'm a no Travis Homer fan, but one thing we know about Seattle is that Russell Wilson's unhappy because of the lack of offensive line play in front of him. So assuming that Seattle does something to alleviate those concerns, that's only going to benefit these guys, Chris Carson and Rashad Penny as well. So even more optimism, on that front for me with these guys. I've not been a Chris Carson guy before, but the more and more I dig in, it's like, man, I'm missing it on this guy, obviously, because it's right there in front of your face. You watch him play. The guy's a really good player. It's amazing that he's not a bigger star. And maybe just playing with Russell Wilson, a little bit of injury concern maybe with him, and not really having a huge sample size either. But this guy's underrated, and you might be really upset if he's not on any of your fantasy teams this year.
I 100% agree with that because I have to have some exposure to this kid because he's going to be a running back one. Like Pete Carroll's offense is revamped offensive line. I mean, we probably saw his floor, 2 years ago? And it was way better last year, and he was still a running back too. So moving forward, I'm still looking this up. Don't get me wrong. Oh, let me close this out. Jeez. Ooh, we're going to talk about my Tampa Bay Buccaneers, guys. Billy, you kick us off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Go to Ryan, and then I'll close it out because you know how much I love the Super Bowl winning Tom Brady Buccaneers.
Yeah, so, okay, a really deep backfield with 3 pretty good players. None of these guys are really that great to me. Leonard Fournette, obviously a really good player, not a fantastic running back. Ronald Jones, kind of the same thing. Shows some flashes. Kind of the more I watch of him, the more I'm kind of getting into Ronald Jones. I just feel like this is a really crowded backfield, and Fournette's talented enough that he's going to play some games. We heard Bruce Arians talk about Keyshawn Vaughn could be a breakout running back this year. So it even further muddies up this situation that really is Tom Brady's show anyway. So we're kind of back to Bellatrix with Tom Brady in Tampa. I do like these guys. I'll have a little bit of all of them somewhere. Just because you never know on a given week any of them could boom. But I like what I saw out of Keyshawn Vaughn last year. He had 15 carries for 62 yards, and is really his only opportunity to play last year. And if you watch that game, he kind of grabbed your eye at the lackluster play we've seen out of Fournette and Ronald Jones at times. A little kind of dry at the running back position, not that exciting. He brought a little bit of that pop and that sizzle. So he's a guy I'm kind of looking at. I'm going to start trying to scoop him up in Dynasty, especially with Bruce Arians kind of touting his praise right now early in the offseason. But probably, this is a backfield situation where on a given week, you hope you play the right guy when you need him.
Ryan, before you take over this, Joss Whedon, first of all, I love all your movies, man. Great, except for the Justice League. Zack Snyder definitely did it better than you did. But regardless of that, in rookie drafts, non-super flex, who do you have as the number 2 guy? Ryan, I know you're working on your big board. I've got mine already done, so do you want me to go first? Y'all go second? What do you want? What do you want?
Up to you. I'm down for whatever.
Number 2 in my rookie drafts, non-super flex, is Travis Etienne. Hands down. We talked about it today, Billy. I think you might be on the same boat as me. It kind of, restore the Snyderverse. But depending on placement, Najee, Travis, wherever they go will depend on that. But number 2, Jaws, Travis Etienne, a.k.a. in my world, E.T.
Yeah, for me right now, pre-draft, I'm looking at Etienne, but I have guys close enough depending on where they go. Guys like Kenny Gainwell. Everybody's talking Javonte, but I'm really a big fan of Gainwell. I think that's going to be the running back that has a chance to be my number 2 once the draft happens. Because if he goes to the right situation, if Etienne goes to the right situation, he's going to be my number 2. But if Gainwell goes to a significantly better situation than Etienne does, I like what I see from Gainwell. I can't get it out of my head that he kept Gibson's butt on the bench or in the wide receiver slot, and Gibson's a beast. So I can't get around. And Pollard and Henderson. Like we all had like a love fest on him last week. It's remarkable how good Memphis backs have been the last 4 years. Like there has been some good backs coming out of there.
Yeah, so Chris, I just talked about it today. So for me, pre-draft, Najee Harris is the 1A, Etienne, my 1B. I really like both of these guys' skill sets, but it's kind of like, post-draft will make a big difference. If Etienne ends up in Arizona, he's going to be the bona fide one guy that I got to have just because of that opportunity. But if Najee ends up in Buffalo, it's going to be even further splitting hairs. So some of these spots that these guys could land are really going to help out how I feel about them. However, I like both of these guys. So right now, for me, it's also the easy way out, Najee, Etienne. But I will say, if Javonte ends up in Buffalo or Arizona, just the lure alone of what I think of that kid might make me pull that trigger every now and again as well over Najee and Etienne, just to mix it up a bit.
You're a big Najee guy too. I mean, guys, if y'all don't know, Billy is straight up. We're in a lot of leagues together, right? And a lot of leagues that we're not. And so we talk. And Billy's like, Najee is the one guy I have to have. And that's very rare when you're in our situation and you're looking at all these different players, all the different scoring formats, all the different leagues. And there is one cat that you got to have. That's special. That's very, very special.
Yes. Huge Najee guy. What I love about him the most is his ability to catch the ball at the size he is. You chalk him off as this Derrick Henry between the tackles power guy, and then you see him with some twinkle toes type stuff that just blows my mind for a guy his size. I just don't see him not being successful in the NFL. And the way the drafts go, he's going to land in a great spot more than likely, and he's going to be the workhorse day one. There will be no splitting carries, no timeshare stuff with him. So the opportunity is going to be there for him as well as soon as he walks in the door. So really excited for Najee. I hope he lands in an attractive spot.
I mean, Miles not wrong.
Yes.
If he lands in Buffalo, that is straight up unfair, like, for everybody in that AFC division.
Yeah,
straight up unfair.
That would be incredible. That would be a fun offense to watch grow together for sure.
And then Scott, we always got to talk about Scott real quick. Obviously, we can't count out Homer. Obviously, we mentioned him earlier. But I don't know. We'll have to see. I think Penny and Carson are just going to eat it all up. To answer this question that we had from a while ago, right? Zeke, yes, is definitely more involved in the passing game than Pollard. Pollard is lurking. Guys, to answer the question about the juke rating and the evaded tackles. Yes, Chris Carson had an 8. Oh, no. His high was 23.2. Zeke's is only 17.2. But Zeke has obviously had more of a workload, and he has more evaded tackles. 48 evaded tackles in his highest season. So, obviously, they're different kinds of characters, right? Obviously, Zeke's better than Chris Carson. We're not going to
I agree. I just think that they have a similar play style. Like
that's fair.
They have the physicality and the speed, and, like, you can't – he'll run you over at the same time he'll run around you, and that makes it hard to decide where you're going to tackle him.
I'm getting really turned on to Chris Carson these days, just watching some things and then obviously looking at more of his numbers. I'm not a big Pete Carroll running back guy because I feel like he's like Kyle Shanahan. Like, I don't know who's going to get the ball. Like, if Rashad Penny busts off a 40-yard run, Rashad Penny about to play the rest of this game. Chris Carson about to be passing out some Gatorade. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he does. Pete Carroll does do that too, man. And like Scott said in the comments, they're really deep in the backfield. So these guys, a lot of them do come in and play well, and they get chunks of the game. And sometimes you have the wrong guy on that mix. Sometimes you got the right fella.
Joss Whedon, that's pretty much, did you look at our group text between the three of us, or the four of us? Tom's not here right now, but Tom gets the text messages. Chase, Etienne, and Williams are all close. Ryan was a huge Javonte guy. Obviously, I'm a big Etienne guy, and Billy with the predominant 101.
I'm not a big Javonte guy. I'm more
on
the Carter.
You're not a big Javonte guy. You're the guy that told me about Javonte.
I know, but I'm not.
Learn how to spell his name, Pinto.
I like Carter better than Javonte right now. Now, I like Kenny Gainwell better than all those guys, man. I think Kenny Gainwell is a special kind of talent.
SportsMe, we need to get Ryan on here talking about his whack running back list real quick, okay? But yes, at this point, don't draft Seattle early. I totally agree, unless, I don't know. Did Chris Carson get a deal here? What was his deal, Billy?
3 years, $24 million.
I mean, for a 26-year-old running back, Derrick Henry wishes he would get that, right?
Yeah. He's Seattle's RB1. Easy to see. Follow the money.
Zeke was overworked, but Dak will be back this year. CeeDee Lamb. Don't get me started on Dallas. You guys, I'll talk about an hour about Dallas real quick.
I just got to make the comment. We're on Tampa Bay, but we went backwards to Seattle.
We have not talked about anybody about Tampa Bay.
No, not really.
My eyes were like, whoa. Miles, stop calling me out, man. Jeez. Okay. Ryan, take Tampa. Yeah, I'm gonna finish Tampa Bay. Y'all are supposed to start. Jeez, come on.
All right. So who's starting? Billy, you want to go? You want me to go?
Yeah, I talked about him a little bit about Keyshawn Vaughn.
That's right.
Yep.
Yes, you did. Sorry, the Keyshawn Vaughn connection. All right. So for me, I like what I
show how not exciting the Tampa Bay backfield is from a fantasy standpoint.
I agree. I agree. Although I do like Ronald Jones. I do. He had a 5.1 yards per carry average last year. I was not a Ronald Jones believer at all coming into this year, and I thought, Fournette is going to dominate that backfield, and he just never did. And Jones just churned out, again, a 5.1 yards per carry average. He had 7 touchdowns on the ground, 28 catches. He's not really his strength. I mean, we saw some ugly drops from Jones this year, but he doesn't need to be that guy. He's a pounder, and that's not who I thought he was going to be coming out. But he was a physical running back last year, ran with real violence. And that's what I like to see. So he's going to get some workload. That being said, the other guy, Fournette, I've always been high on his natural talent, but the production just has never been there the way I wanted to see it be there. Last year, he had those big games at the end of the year, but I think that Fournette is the RB2 in this scenario, and I think he's getting drafted as the RB1 in some leagues just because of the name value. I actually snagged both of them in that draft back-to-back rounds, just trying to get that backfield, because if either one of them goes down, I get way higher on the other guy. Vaughn is more of a guy I like in Dynasty. I don't think he's going to get as much run as those other two guys this year, at least. I don't think they're going to be able to keep both of those guys long-term. I think they're going to ride this till the wheels fall off, and Vaughn might still be there with the walk into the RB1 in a year or two when that happens. So I do want to snag Vaughn at the price he is now in Dynasty. But on the other way, I'll take some Ronald Jones, and I won't reach for him. But I can't not mention, again, the 5.1 yards per carry average is exceptional. He had a 98-yard rush that year, too, the league high rush, 98 yards. So the guy's capable of explosive plays as well. I agree. Is Fournette even going to show up now that he's got a ring? Like, I might get Vaughn for that reason.
It's on you, Billy.
No, Billy started.
Yeah.
Golly, I'm over here looking these chat I'm agreeing with SportsMe. I'm agreeing with Jaws Whedon over here. I'm looking, and obviously Leonard Fournette hashtag SEC LSU Tiger over here. Scott, you stop that nonsense, right? I'm gonna put this up here right now, but you stop that. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay.
Me too.
Actually, you don't know how much I love David Johnson and Mark Ingram. At the end of the show, Scott, I will give you my verdict on Tampa Bay or the Texans running back situation, because they're both terrible. Well, actually not that terrible for Tampa Bay, because you got playoff Lenny, right? Lombardi Lenny. He was phenomenal in the playoffs, phenomenal in the Super Bowl. Nothing in my mind says that he's not going to carry that this year. Why would he not carry it this year? Let's run it back to back. He's never done it. He's been on the Jaguars. The Jaguars. He wants to win. He ran into the ground in the Jaguars, and he had a little bit of a breather last year, right? Keyshawn Vaughn, who Bruce Arians said 2 days ago, this is his breakout year. Well, technically, what is a breakout year compared to running back 92? Running back 50 is a breakout year for running back 92, correct? So it's all coach speak in my mind. I think Lenny, like Ryan mentioned, he's a running back 2 that people are drafting in running back 1 positions, or running back 3 that people are drafting at running back 2 positions. It's not a guy that I'm shooting for, but if I'm going 0 running back or he's my 5th running back, I'm super excited about that. Even my 4th running back, right? A flex guy, super excited about that because he catches the ball. I mean, Tampa Bay didn't sign James White, so Tom Brady's looking to dump this ball off. Rojo, who our guy Joshua Cho loves Rojo, right? And he's young, he's versatile, but there's just something that's like, why is he not clicking? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Tom Brady can click with anybody. He's clicked with Lenny. We saw it. They won a Lombardi. So I'm going with Lenny. There's nothing more that I need to say about this. Streamlabs, there we go. Find us on Sportscaster all day, every day. Let's move on, guys, to this is going to be pretty fun, right? The Tennessee Titans. I'll kick it off real quick. Talk about our guy, right? Out of the SEC, Derrick Henry, the University of Alabama. Roll Tide, man. The 45th overall selection in the 2016 draft. A guy who had a pretty big workload in college, who had a huge workload when he got to the NFL, who people say is not sustainable. People say because of the workload this kid gets from Mike Vrabel, he's not going to be in contention. People say because he doesn't like to catch a football, he's not going to be a good running back in fantasy. Well, everybody, last year he was the running back 4. Prior to that, he was the running back 7. He has not had less volume than, I'm going to look right here, in the last 3 years, his average was, that's quick math, and that's 300 possessions a year. The volume is ridiculous. King Henry is ridiculous. The offense is ridiculous. I'm still one of the people that is not drafting him as a top 5 running back, and I should, because everyone who's getting this guy in the back half is ending up winning leagues. That y'all remember last year, right? I don't have my ring on my Trinity. Home league, work league, industry league. 2 of those leagues, my home league and my industry league, I had King Henry in, and he led me to a championship. Obviously, I had Dalvin Cook in a couple of those too, but King Henry, man, like, the numbers just speak. Like, I don't need to talk about these numbers because they're just off the charts, and I think he's going to continue. I think that's the real thing that we're talking about, right? Can he sustain this workload? And I think he can.
He's remarkable, that's for sure. What I find miraculous about Henry is that every year he's increased his yardage, every year he's increased his touchdowns, and every year he's increased his efficiency. In his first year he dropped a little bit, but he's 4.9 3 years ago, 5.1 2 years ago, 5.4 last year on 378 carries, cracking 2,000 yards, throwing in 17 touchdowns. You don't have to catch balls when you do that. You don't need to. He has proven this. By the way, he had 31 targets and 19 catches. He had his most inefficient year through the air, but this is the guy that's averaged double-digit yards per catch 3 times already in his 5-year career. So, go ahead.
Before Billy goes real quick and you finish, I went from 6 to midnight, guys. He had 67 evaded tackles last year.
Yeah, that's bonkers. This guy has missed 2 games in his career. 2. In 5 years, he's missed 2 games. With that volume, with the amount of punishment he takes, the amount of punishment he delivers, he has been spectacular. I don't think, and again, he'll be 27 this year. The thing is, his first 2 years, he did not see that volume. So when you're thinking about a 5-year back with the volume he has now, he's more like a 4-year back with the volume he has now, because you combine his first 2 years, and he had more volume than that the last 2 years by themselves. Each year, he had more volume than his first 2 years combined. So it's not like a 5-year back with that kind of a volume that you're used to seeing. He has had the general first 2 years. He may go to 29 with this type of play style before he starts to lose effectiveness. We might see more improvement. He might have more yardage. He might have more touchdowns, and he might be able to crack over 5.4 yards per attempt. With that kind of speed and power ability, I love Henry. I think that his ceiling is only slightly below that really crazy elite level, like the CMC, Saquon, Kamara, maybe Zeke still. I'm not so sure about Zeke being – I think Zeke might be more in the Henry category for me now, which is an elite category. But what I'm saying is they're in a small number. So if I'm at 5, well, no, I take Dalvin Cook, but I take him at 6. I take him at 6.
That's fair.
Yeah, so Derrick Henry for me is kind of like
Billy.
Yeah.
Answer this question from Jaws.
Okay.
Would it be nice if the Titans were more innovative with their screens and dump offs?
And, we've seen Derrick Henry be pretty ridiculous out in the open field when he catches some screen passes. He takes them to the house and puts all pros on their back and on stuff that's, posters, nightmares. I would like to see Derrick Henry get the ball more out there. It'd be really interesting to see what is really his ceiling is in the receiving game, because really they hand it to him so much that when they are throwing, it's off the play action, which is, fake handing it off to him. Essentially, it might play into why his receiving numbers are a bit lower than what they probably could be potentially. Yep. I feel like he catches the ball in the backfield fine. They just don't really use him in that role. But you take all the things with Derrick Henry, size and speed, the workload, the way the offense is constructed, and really this might be the most primed we've ever seen anybody to have back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons. He's going to get 350-plus touches. Like you said, Ryan, he doesn't miss games. His yard per carry is going up. Ever since Eddie George pulled him off to the side and said, hey, big man, you run kind of soft, he's been on a tear. The last 2 seasons, his numbers are ridiculous. 681 carries, 3,500-plus rushing yards, 33 touchdowns, back-to-back top 5 PPR seasons, despite only 37 receptions over that span. He's a monster unlike we've ever seen, and he's tallying 1,600-plus yard rushing days and 4 200-plus yard rushing days, which is by far puts him up there with, Hall of Fame guys' career 200-yard games. He's had 5 in his career over the last 3 years, 4 of them last 2. It's ridiculous. He's a bona fide workhorse, unlike really we've ever seen, just due to that size. And we've seen guys with his weight, not that build, that just juggernaut, ridiculous. He's a left tackle. He's a left tackle. He's outrunning you, and when you do run up to him, he makes you pay for trying to tackle him.
That's Von Miller. He's Von Miller. Yeah. He's literally Von Miller. It's unbelievable.
That's incredible. When you're a 200-pound, 190-pound defensive back trying to bring that down in the open field, it hurts.
Now, remember this. Both of you AJB guys over here, remember my stat in the middle of the season, how the Tennessee Titans were exceeding their play rate by I think it was under 6%, right? But that still equated per game for, 14 extra plays? And those 14 extra plays were actually not even going to King Henry. They were going to the passing game with AJB and Jonnu and everybody else. Now you take out that, and you got Anthony Firkser.
Yep,
you got Josh Reynolds, who will be at 1 pass a game, but you still got the primary guy, right? AJB and now Derrick Henry. You think Derrick Henry's workload could increase? I think it can.
It can. I think technically it can.
Right. And that's
Will it?
super crazy. Will it is the question. But
Right.
the possibility, right? In fantasy, we talk
Yeah.
about ceilings.
Yeah.
And the ceiling of Derrick Henry is absolutely phenomenal.
400 rushes.
I'd like to see him take that 19 receptions and just push that to like 30 receptions.
What happens then?
If he
what happens then?
3 of them turn into those big screen plays like we just had mentioned in the chat there, could put him in just the territory, the potential.
What happens if it becomes Derrick Henry catching these out of the backfield like Najee did at Alabama? How does that make you feel?
Derrick Henry would be RB1, and you'd be very upset that you passed on him. Probably still in the 6th and 7th overall range. Watching guys scoop him up back there where he shouldn't be landing, like you said earlier. But I'm that guy too. But man, if he starts catching balls, even that 30, 40 reception range, could put Derrick Henry in a class all of his own for the next few years.
But by the way, one thing I find fascinating, his targets have increased every single year as well.
Every year, yep.
Every single year.
Wow, 14, 15, 17, 25, 31 for sure. Targets per game too. Wow, his target share is way up to 7% from 3.
That's over doubling.
That's really good.
If that trend continues, like every other trend has continued, you could be looking at another level. I'm not sure that I'm ready to project that just yet. I need to look a little bit more. Plus, what they do in the draft is going to influence me a lot. What if they wind up with a guy like Jamar Chase or something?
Yeah, they got a new offensive coordinator as well. There could be minor tweaks to this team. However, this offense is predicated, built around, and it is King Henry's team for sure. But man, Tannehill runs that offense well.
Yeah, he does.
Woo, gig him, baby.
He does.
All right, guys. We're going to close this out. Woo! I can't believe we're going to talk about the Washington football team, who will probably keep this name for the next 2 years, right? I think that was what was in the works. The next 2 years, they're going to keep this team name. But this guy, right? We saw him in college out of Memphis, and he was pretty phenomenal, but he was not a true running back in college. I had a lot of concerns at the beginning of the season, right? I was a Bryce Love guy. Bryce Love, Heisman voting Bryce Love versus Antonio, Ryan, Billy, Tom Gibson. I watched a film, I looked at the numbers, and it just didn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm a Kenny Gainwell guy, right? I don't know, Ryan.
God, I'm a Kenny Gainwell guy.
But I'm looking at him, right? The 3rd round, number 66 overall, 13 games played, 42% of the snaps were to him. And that's, he's a rookie, right? So he didn't get that early work. He got the later work. And when he got the later work, he had 151 attempts at running back. 11.6 per game, 11 touchdowns in the 12 games that he started in. We're talking which gets me going. A top quarter juke rating at 24.2%. And guys, how many evaded tackles did Zeke just have last year? 48. We're talking the same division with a lot less games as a rookie. Ryan, can you guess real quick?
49.
He had less. 45. 3 less than Zeke, but 45 evaded tackles. And he played some good defenses. It wasn't scrub defenses, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're good out there. Here's what gets me, though, and this is what I think you guys will talk to me about, is his breakaway speed and how good he is in the open field. He has 8 breakaway runs of 20 yards or more, and his breakaway run rate, remember we talked about that earlier, at a 3.9. I forgot who that was. We'll go back later and check the tape. 3.9 was good. Gibson has a 5.3. The dude's about to be a baller this year. I see a lot of stuff on Twitter, right? I'm always on Twitter. I'm looking at this, and I reflect back to you guys. And there's a lot of talk between, is Gibson a running back 1? Everyone, look, I always do the hashtag stats win ships. The dude has already had a top 12 season last year. He was a running back 12 last year. It's going to get better in my mind with Fitz. It's going to get better because F1 is going to be able to run around. Logan Thomas is going to be able to run around. They're going to add in the draft. And
Curtis Samuel.
There you go. Curtis Samuel, the Swiss Army knife. And Antonio Gibson is going to be able to run lawlessly on the Cowboys, on the Eagles, who have really porous defenses right now. And it's going to be really, really good. What do y'all got? I'm going to look over here because Scott has something really big in the chat. Oh.
I think that is an accurate hot take, SportsMe. I think that Gibson has that potential, which is, again, why I'm crazy about Gainwell right now. I drafted so much of him last year because I was getting a lot of Geis. So I handcuffed Geis with Gibson earlier than most people would. So I was all in on Gibson when Geis got out, and I said, oh my God, I might have just accidentally lucked into this beast. Well, he was a beast. I think that it's easy to forget that dude is 6'2", 220 pounds. Like, this isn't some little kid. This is a man-child, and he's fast. He's a great receiver. That's what he played in college because there was a back that kept him off the field. Again, Gainwell reference. Holy crap. But 4.7 yards per carry, you got to love that. That's excellent as a rookie. He didn't have the volume. His volume will go up next year. It's going to go up big time. So I think that top 5, yeah.
Sorry, interrupting you. Why did you never tell me he was 6'2", 220? That's a running back 1 body frame.
That's huge, right?
I thought he was. So in my mind, I'm thinking
Scott, shout out, man. Yeah, exactly. He's a monster. He's a monster. He's humongous, man. Like 6'2", 220. That's an inch and like 15, 20 pounds lighter than Derrick Henry. Like, he's in that range of big old backs. Like, it caught me off guard too. Like, you see him and he looks kind of big, but 6'2", 220 is shockingly big for a guy that can move like that. I also want to throw a little shout out to JD McKissick.
The way he moves.
Yep,
like
he is.
I like the way you move. Do. That's this guy.
He's an athlete before he's a running back, and that doesn't always work for me, but here it does because he's 6'2", 220. He's not like Rondale Moore. He's a monster. He's a big old dude. Shout out to JD McKissick, who had 110 targets and 80 catches last year. That's crazy. Where is he going to go? Who knows? But I don't think it matters. I'm going to get him because he looks to me like their starting slot receiver. Him and Gibson have a lot of similarities as far as skill sets and abilities. McKissick is just a watered-down version of him. But this guy, again, 110 targets. How are people not talking about that? That's crazy numbers. Remember, Camaro, he had 81 targets all those years, or catches. He's got 80. McKissick, and he's barely playing. And he has 80, not barely playing, not barely playing, compared to Kamara, because Gibson is the guy. So I am really interested in sliding McKissick into my roster late, especially if I got Gibson, because if Gibson goes down, I don't see them addressing running back in the draft. Gibson's so young, and McKissick is still, he just proved now he's a super serviceable 80-catch guy. So I actually like this backfield. I love the offense with Fitzmagic. I want a bunch of Gibson, and I want a bunch of McKissick late. Give me both of them.
Yeah, Antonio Gibson's kind of that guy that seems like he was a gamble by the Washington football team to make that move to running back. There was questions on, like Darius Geis was kind of a hot guy early in the summer before unfortunate events transpired. However, Antonio Gibson, that experiment worked, and it worked really, really well for them last year, even with subpar quarterback play. He's running back 12 or 13 as a rookie, like you said, Chris. Like I said, with a less than desirable quarterback situation, 4.68 yards per carry, 11 rushing touchdowns, a bit underwhelming as a pass catcher for what his skill set kind of suggested he was going to be the type of guy. But like you said, Ryan, this guy's built more like a running back than a wide receiver, and they used him as such. Being young, he's not getting that early work, but as the season progressed, he really showed he can handle a workload, and they used him, and they were creative with him. So I don't see any reason to think that he's not going to progress, and nearly everywhere, especially just the touches, the workload in general, is going to be a big deal for him. If he gets 300 touches, this guy could have some ridiculous yardage numbers. He's a top 10 potential guy easily, and we may not see his ceiling for another year or two as he develops into this running back position and this offense kind of develops around him. Like I said, their quarterback position is still kind of in limbo. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he might be good for him, but that's still a Band-Aid situation, not an optimal quarterback situation for a guy developing. So I really like Antonio Gibson, especially with the passing game potential and an easy situation for him to progress in there. And like Ryan said, J.D. McKissick, 80 catches on 110 targets. He was RB17 in PPR and basically didn't run the ball. He basically didn't get any carries. It was all straight receiving numbers. So in my mind, he's only really there as a running back, capping what Antonio Gibson could do in the passing game. But hopefully Ryan's kind of thought there that he plays a little more slot receiver will benefit Antonio Gibson, because I feel like just a young guy not being on the field on third down might have been what played into a lot of that scenario as far as capping his passing game stuff. But definitely he will progress. I would imagine he doubles his passing game projection from last year without really even pushing real hard to do so.
I have nothing to add to that because that's spot on. Like,
I have one more thing, actually.
Ooh,
one last thought.
More hotness.
If you look at the numbers on Antonio Gibson, it reminds you a lot of a guy we talked about earlier in Miles Sanders' rookie season. The touchdowns, the yard per carries, the usage, very similar back, in my opinion. Like we all thought Antonio Gibson's a little undersized. He's not. And just look at the numbers. It's really flatteringly close. And I think the potential is kind of there. They're kind of in that same neighborhood for me, similar skill set, passing game guys that maybe didn't get quite the work we thought. Really excited about Antonio Gibson moving forward.
Yep. I love that comparison.
I mean, that's spot on. Here's my question that I've been holding on to for a little bit. So everyone who's watching, right? Obviously, we're a podcast, right? And we're homeboys, all four of us. We're getting into a charity podcast where I will be making the decision and clicking the button, but I'm not going to click the button without my cohorts, right? We talk. We're going to figure out what person we're going to draft at that point. And it's been really fun talking because we all have our own little drafts and we're talking and seeing like what's going to happen. And I think we were all on the mindset we're not going to say, but we all know we're going to go running back, blah, blah, blah. But the thing was, Ryan sent us a screenshot of his team that is phenomenal right now. We're not going to talk about too much because there's people probably watching. But in the same, I guess, what would you call it? Like the same row column, we're looking at Miles Sanders. We're looking at Antonio Gibson. We're looking at James Robinson. Those three guys, right? There might have been a fourth guy, but those are the three guys in my head that really stuck out. Now, if we're posed, I guess is the word, with that same situation, guys, on air right now, on the count of three, who you going with between Booby, James Robinson, Antonio Gibson? Ready? We're all going to say it at three, and I'm pretty sure we're going to say three different answers. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Gibson.
James Robinson.
Gibson.
James Robinson.
I knew you were going to say that, and I love it, but I guess
I went Montgomery, by the way.
After the draft happens, I might go Robinson, but the uncertainty of everything right now for me is not going to. The good news is Tom was probably going to say Booby.
Yeah,
so.
I love James Robinson. I just feel like there's a slight, like a little bit of piece of it that I want to see it again, I guess. You know, I'm scared to invest real high in a guy that's more than likely going to regress a little bit, especially if they get a young quarterback that struggles down there. And, you know, hey, it's a whole new offense, whole new team, whole new everything. So James Robinson, I do love the guy. However, I'm going to move him kind of to the back latter half of that tier, guys.
I get it.
The good news is, if we're talking about these three guys as our third running back,
oh god,
we're really good.
Yeah, real happy with any of them.
Super happy, and I'm really excited, guys. We're at about 70 minutes, and this is where we want to kind of end because I want these guys to talk about what we're working on, and obviously our St. Jude Bowl. But don't forget, guys, we represent the Rumboyz, and we will be taking home this podcast league. from some guys across the pond. Like, these guys from across the pond, they don't know what we're all about over here in America. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Running
we're just
backs.
gonna leave it at that. We're going to go running back heavy for everybody here, and we're going to take it home. But, Billy, man, you and Ryan talk about what we're working on behind the scenes right now, what's going to happen after the draft, and how we can all, I guess, come together, help, and donate towards a good cause.
Yeah, our second annual St. Jude Bowl. Ryan's turning this thing into a whole nother level of event than what we thought we could accomplish. But with such a great turnout from you guys last year, just turn this thing into an awesome event. So if you're new to fantasy football, come join us and then get your feet wet with us. All kinds of different types of platforms and scoring systems that we're going to be doing for everybody. So come join us. Ryan's turning this thing into just an absolute monster of an event that you're not going to want to miss out this summer.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there that just love playing fantasy like we do. That's what we do. We love playing fantasy football. We're fantasy football players first. We're analysts and podcasters second. Like, we are in so many leagues. We do so many drafts, and we do it because we love doing it. So we want to do something where you don't have to worry if your commissioner's taking the money or like, we have everything handled. Come in, your money goes to St. Jude. The winner gets money. It's going to be the same rules for everybody on each format. We are commissioning it. We are making sure everything goes smoothly. Anybody who was in last year's knows this is a fun league. There's a lot of smack talk in a lot of the divisions. We're changing up the format just a little bit. Excited. Oh, we talked about that last episode, actually. First rounders. So the divisions will be a little bit different name this year. But this is so fun, guys. Again, it's not a crazy. Last year, it was $20 to get in. I think we'll probably do the exact same. We haven't talked enough about that yet, but I'm assuming we're on the same page there. That was a good. And then we can donate thousands of dollars to St. Jude. Again, I know we've said this before, but when St. Jude came into the world, childhood survival rate in cancer was at 20%. Today, it's at 80%. Like, St. Jude is doing crazy work. They said one of their mission statements is they are not going to stop until it gets to 100%. They are helping sick kids. One of the worst things I can imagine, kids with cancer. Like, how do you explain that? They're helping those kids. They're helping the families of those kids. Oh, JB Cho, we'll see. I am. Let's do it. Yes, St. Jude, guys. Again, we're so excited to work with them. We're so excited to give to a charity that is legitimately doing some of the most important work that there is. And you get to have a blast. It's a clean league. We will be posting updates with standings. Everything's going to be.
Ryan normally does a weekly standing thing, don't you? Well, you did last year at least, and I'm sure we're going to do that again.
Yep, I enjoy doing that. Yes, it will, and there'll be lots of formats. It's going to take a lot of time, but it's going to be worth it because it's fun to have all of that information. Like, we want you guys to have all the info. Where are we in the big standings? Where am I? You can see where you are in your division, but I want every division available for everybody to see. You can check where you are in the rankings at any time. It's just, guys, it's going to be a blast again. Let's see how much money we can get for St. Jude. Again, we make no money off of this. $0 goes to us, not a single penny. It goes to the winners, and it goes to St. Jude.
I'm gonna do a little Tom right here, right? Tom gets the mic right. He does this number on them boys. Guys, there's a lot of imitators out there. There's a lot of people who like to say some things. You know what it is. Tom can't be here tonight. Ooh, I love it. Robbie in the chat. Let's fucking go. There's a lot of imitators out there, guys. We're not it. Come on with it. And I mean, it's gonna be fun. We did it last year. We're gonna do it again. Don't let anyone confuse what's gonna happen. The winner will take home $1,000 at least.
Minimum.
At least $1,000 to play some fantasy football. But also, you get $1,000, you know that at least $1,000 is going to St. Jude. That is so much better, right? So, a lot of imitators out there. Come join us. The Fantasy First Rounders, sponsored by the Rumboyz, St. Jude. Let's go, guys. I'm going to drop the mic like Tom would do.
Ah, it made a cool sound.
Yeah, man, exciting. We had a great year one. I'm vowing right now to make Ryan announce my name on the weekly standings update. on a weekly basis next year after shooting down my leg last season. So I have some redemption as well. Joshua Cho, me and you both, man. I'll see you in the finals.
And say no to Michael Thomas in the first round. That's what I did.
And Patrick Mahomes. That's what I did.
Why did we just go running back?
That's what we're gonna do. Stop telling everyone what we're gonna do. Joshua Cho knows he was in my division. I took 6 running backs in a row, but that didn't matter because I was 6 bad running backs. Guys, it's been fun tonight, right? Obviously, it was supposed to be our 40th show with everyone, but it's okay. Yes, I know you traded for CMC.
Oh, that's
guys. If y'all don't know who JB Cho knows is, y'all gotta follow him on Twitter. Ask him questions, get in his DMs. The dude he'll enlighten you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But guys, it's been super fun tonight. I gotta go. We have things we have to do tomorrow. It's Easter weekend, first and foremost. So all of y'all have a great Easter weekend from the Fantasy First Rounders, from the Rumboyz. We will see y'all next week. Next week, we're going to talk about the rookie class. Everyone has seen everything about the rookie class. Y'all haven't seen anything yet because y'all haven't listened to the First Rounders rookie class talk. So
we're going to have to mute Ryan. Have your mute button ready.
I'm about to come out with all sorts of money guns and stuff like that. Oh, guys, it's been super fun. Y'all have a great night. We'll see y'all next week. Same time, same place. It's the Fantasy First Rounders Live. Stats win ships. Good night.